Hi everybody, I'm Tim Gleason, Division Director for Emergency Ultrasound. In this video we want to review some basic things about the ultrasound equipment that we have in the medical center and at the community sites, and importantly review the workflow process for documenting ultrasound. So I first wanted to go over a couple things about the equipment itself. At the university campus we have 4 machines and they each have designated spots. At the community campuses, we have 1 machine that should also have a dedicated spot. This is a alcove between north and south pod. There should be 2 machines here at all times. They can be taken out and used anywhere but returned. A couple things to point out, please. Always make sure that when you return a machine that it's plugged in and charged. We do not infrequently find machines that are left not plugged in and with a depleted battery. If you do take a machine to West Pod or other locations, please be sure to return it. Each of the machines should have at least 3 probes on it, a cardiac probe, abdominal, and linear probe. At the university campus in this alcove, we have some backup probes, including endocavitary probe and some other linear probes that can be used. Please be sure to return the machines where they should be. Make sure they're plugged in. If they're dirty, you've used them, please wipe off the gel and use wipes to clean it. If it was an endocavitary probe, those should undergo high-level disinfection, so please make sure you grab a patient sticker to identify the patient it was used on and speak with the tech about getting high-level disinfection for that probe. Couple other quick little notes. If you ever notice that there's a problem with the probe, something's broken, maybe the wire is broken or cracked or the imaging is not displaying properly, you can reach out to Biomed. You can ask secretary to call Biomed to troubleshoot that. You can also notify me and I will follow up on the issue.
Everyone, I'm Dr. Monica Kapoor. I'm going to go over how we're going to use the machine and use Synchronicity for those of you that need a refresher if you haven't used it before. So when you come up to the venue, what you're going to do is if you see this screen up, you're going to press patient. One thing I do want to mention, I'm going to mention it again, is that if you see the screen and it says end exam over here, please end the exam before you start your next exam so patient data does not get merged. So once you come to the machine, you're going to press patient. It's going to bring you to this screen. And what you're going to do in this screen, the way that I go about putting my info in for the patient, is that you press on work list. If this comes up, you can just press log on. You do not have to press any password or type in any password. And then this is test patients that we have up, but you will get a work list of patients. As soon as you get to that work list, the first thing I do is I press today's exams. That pulls in all the exams from the last 48 hours. Say I'm going into a trauma, they just got registered, then I do today's exams and then they will get pulled up. So as soon as a patient is registered or expected, they are in the work list, but you do need to press today's exams. So once I get to this, so I'm gonna do Bob test ultrasound. So what I'll do is I'll press on Bob and I will choose, let's say I want to do abdominal and I want to do an EFAST. I go to this and press EFAST, and what it will do is bring me to the exam. You can see now up here it says test ultrasound Bob. It has the MR number and the exam that I want to do. Obviously, if you want to switch probes or exams, you can do that easily over here. The other thing that I do is that I go back to patient, and you can see all the info is now populated. And under the attending tab is where I put in my Epic ID. So mine is Kapoor M, so I'm going to put that here. And then I'm going to go back and resume exam. This is a surefire way of getting everything into Synchronicity in the correct way for the patient and for the exam being assigned to you. I'll go over some pitfalls later, but let's go through this. So now let's say we have this, my name's in, I'm going to freeze and store some images. So freeze, store, and if you want to just take a clip, I'm just going to press store, and it's taking some clips. At the end of that, I'm going to press end exam. Once I press end exam, it's going to say, are you sure? And I'm going to say yes. You should see it in Synchronicity after you've said end exam. So and it should be under your sign name. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about other ways that you can put exams in. So let's say a trauma rolls in and you didn't have time to pick them up from the work list. You can actually here just press auto ID and the machine will create an ID for you. When I do auto ID and I have a tough time remembering or I don't get to assign it to myself, I sometimes just do trauma and today's date, let's say it's 10/28. So I put that in so that when I see that on sync, I know that that's the exam I'm looking for to pull in, and I'll show you later what that looks like. So here again, I'm going to do an eFast and go back. I could have put my name in there, but I'm going to leave my name out of it to show how you can assign yourself. Same thing, you finish the exam. I'm going to store some images, and then I'm going to end my exam once again. Do you want to end? Yes. Another way to do this is to put in the MRN under the patient ID or the last name and first name, and then Synchronicity on the back end should pull it in. The issue with this is that it is prone to have mistakes in it. Lots of time we put in the MRN incorrectly, we spell the patient's name incorrectly, and then it's much more complicated on the back end to find that exam. So those are some of the ways that you can start and get the items in for your patient that you are scanning. Okay, so another way is that you start entering the patient's name. So I'm going to start entering the letters of this patient's name. So ULS, and then the list will bring up the name that you need. Okay, so now ultrasound Sarah comes up. I'm going to choose her and I will begin my exam, and I will go ahead and record and then end my exam. So the other thing to be aware of is if you're the next person coming up to do an exam, this unfortunately does not self-erase. So if you come up and you're pressing today's exams over and over, it's because there's something already in the field and it's only going to pull up those two. So what you have to do is you actually have to erase this, and then it will refresh the work list. And what will happen is that you can enter in again, or you can pull up if you can see them. Okay, the next thing I'm going to go over is some machine pitfalls, or if you run into some errors. So one of the biggest thing is that you will get an error saying network not working or connected. So one of the things you can do is here where you see the Wi-Fi signal, you can go and it shows you that the Wi-Fi is connected and that the LAN is not connected, okay? So for Wi-Fi, if it's connected and you're still getting that error, you can actually disconnect it and you'll see it go disable. It does take longer than you would anticipate for it to unconnect and reconnect. So now it's disabling and the Wi-Fi is off, and you then can enable it, and hopefully at this point it picks up the network connection, but it takes a few seconds. Another thing that can happen is you can get an error about the spooler, and if that happens, then you can go under settings, go to logs at the bottom, and you can go to this, which is spooler. So once that you're in spooler, you can see that the status of my last study is pending and then goes to done. When it's done, that means that it's gone correctly to Synchronicity. If it's pending or there's any issues with it, you can always reach out to us, any of the ultrasound faculty or myself, and we can try to help you troubleshoot that. Another thing is that sometimes the space on the machine can actually get full, and you can say that it says that the archive is full and it has trouble storing images. If that happens, please reach out to the ultrasound faculty, myself, and we can walk you through it, as it's a little bit more time consuming, though you can do it immediately to clean up the machine. Hi everyone, so now we're going to go to the application part, and we're going to talk about how you use Synchronicity to get your exams into the EMR. So first you can go to the web links under Epic, and it has POCUS Synchronicity there, and you can click on that and it will bring you to this, which is the page where you put in your universal name and your universal ID to log in. Secondly, you could also just put in the address, which is synchronicity.umassmemorial.org, and it should bring it up. So once you've logged in, this is the screen you're going to see. My screen's a little bit different as I have more privileges in terms of QA reviewing. You're going to only have this part that says clinical. You're also going to see this, that you have all unassigned and all assigned. So what that means is that the all unassigned is all the studies going on in the ED right now that people have not assigned. And then the assigned are the ones that you have put under your name. Another thing I want to point out on this page is this bar over here. So a lot of times to refresh it, I just move this bar around. If I'm having trouble finding a patient, I try to move this around to see if it can refresh it. So a couple of ways to get to your studies. You can go to your all assigned, and then when you go to that, you'll see all of these come up, and I'm assigned to them. Another way, this is how you get back to the dashboard, is that you can increase the date, do all studies, and then this will actually bring up all the studies being done in the AR. So if you go this way, then what you can do is that you have all these check boxes on the left here, and you can click or unclick them. And as you do that, it's gonna take the studies and filter them out. So if you just wanna go to performing assigned, that means that people have already put their name on it, then you can go to this and it will show you that 82 studies have people assigned that they're working on the worksheets. So let's go back to the dashboard, and I'm going to increase the timeline here, and then I have 11 studies assigned. So once I go to all assigned, I can see that that study I did, Bob Test Ultrasound with my name, is up here. It was the EFAST and my name is assigned to it. If my name was not assigned, what you can do is you can click on it, and right here where it says unassigned, if I do that, I can assign myself, okay? So once I assign myself, looking up here, the ways that you know that the study is incorrectly is that the patient name should be all capitalized, there should be an accession number, and all the other info should be there. Once you assign yourself to a study, to do any more actions on the study, you have to pick a worksheet. So the EFAST is what I did. If I actually did a cardiac, you can change to cardiac and then go through those worksheets. So I'm gonna go to EFAST, and then the worksheet I'm gonna choose is the EFAST worksheet. The way we've done the worksheets is that we've tried to fill out many of them as much as we can so that it's easier and faster for you to go through them. We did not fill out the indication because we don't know why you did this EFAST. So please remember that the parts we have not filled out, you do need to fill those out. We've pre-checked the views, but let's say you didn't get a good bilateral thorax or suprapubic, you can uncheck that. The findings for the EFAST are supposed to be all negative, and it's supposed to remind you all the different spaces that you're supposed to look at. Other findings you can put over here, or any other comments. It's written up as a negative EFAST, so if you do have a negative, it's very easy to fill out this sheet. It should take you seconds. At the bottom here, there's two other things. This study was technically limited, and there's something about resident attestation. That is only for the QA divisional faculty and not for anyone else to fill out. We just can't filter it out so you do see it. Down here is the button that says, do you want to submit to EMR? Obviously, if you keep it green, it's defaulted to green, then this study will go on to the EMR. Let's say you went and did a study and it was terrible, or you didn't get good views, or you didn't finish it, and you put it in, but you don't want it to go to the patient's EMR, but you do want it to get QA'd. What you do is you take this off and press no, and then you can sign and submit it. So let's see what happens when this is a yes first. So when it's a yes, I sign and submit, and it should say who you want to assign it to. It doesn't come up on mine because I'm one of the sysadmins on this. So when you do that, you will have a box that comes up. Who do you want to assign the study to? Please choose assign to none, because that is the list that the divisional faculty uses to do review every day. So once that's done, we do your QA. This is how we do the QA, and we send you some comments and we send you feedback. We try not to send every single study that we read back to you, but if we do send a study back to you, means that there was something that we wanted to give you feedback on or discuss. So it's helpful if you read the feedback that we give you. So then I would sign and submit this, and it would get archived. So obviously the QA button will not come up for you guys. Next, what you can do is, so here I have Fujistone March 18th, another worksheet. Let's say Robbie did this exam with me. I can add him over here. Let's say also Tim did this. And this will add them as extras, so I know that they did this. Then I choose the worksheet. Let's say I want to do aorta. Then once that happens, I can go, as I said, pre-filled out. Let's say I didn't see the bifurcation, so no aneurysm noted, and this is already pre-filled out. And then let's say this time I don't want to submit it to the EMR because it was not a good study. So when I sign and submit here, you will see that they really say, hey, are you sure you don't want to send it to EMR? And you say, don't send to EMR. And that says that it just comes to us for QA and it does not go into the patient record. Okay, so let's say that I put in that trauma patient, right? I wrote trauma 10/28 and it's not signed to me because I didn't put in my information. So now that I see that, I know that that's my trauma patient that I did on October 28th. So what I can do is I can go into the patient, I can assign myself, so I know it's my study, and I know it's the EFAST. And what you can do is that if you remember the patient's name, you can go under edit. And here you can actually put in their MR number. And as you start putting in their MR number, the name will pop up and you can click on that name and save it. And that way you can change this from trauma 10/28 to the actual trauma patient. And once you save it, it needs an ID. Once you save it, then you can fill out the sheet and it will be under the patient's correct name, and then you can sign in, submit it, okay? The last example we had was the auto ID. So this was the auto ID we did. You can see that there's some auto ID in here. We know that it's an EFAST, but performing is unassigned. So what I'm gonna do under this auto ID, once again, I'm gonna assign it to myself. And once I do that, I can edit once again and put in the patient MRN number. And I'm actually gonna show you, I'm gonna put in an MRN number and show you how it comes up. So this is a test MRN number. So as I put it in, so you can see that ultrasound Sarah comes up, okay? And then it fills in all of these different fields, and then you can save it, and you see on the top now it's capitalized, there's an ID. Sometimes this is a test environment, so that's why an accession number was not added. So you can fill that out and you can go ahead and sign and submit it. One of the other things I'm going to show you how to do is how to split a study. So let's say the same study, it only has one. Let me see if I can split it. Usually you need more than one clip, but let's see if I can do it with one clip. So you have to choose a worksheet and then to split it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna choose this, and you can choose 2 or 3, 4 or 5, and then you're gonna press split here. When you press split, it should be assigned to me, okay? Copy additional, you don't have to change any of that. And you can either leave it under the EFAST, which is the one you're doing, or you can say, oh, the next one was a gallbladder. So I'm gonna change it to gallbladder and it will come up under gallbladder. And then I'm gonna go ahead and create that. Once you do that, your EFAST images will stay here and you can finish your EFAST study, and then you can sign and submit the EFAST study. Obviously, I have no images here, so once you get back here, it does take a minute for that split study to come through, and obviously, if you have more data or more images, it's going to take a little bit longer. So I actually try to split off my studies that have less clips or less data and try to fill out the original worksheet on the studies that have more data. So here you can see that my original study is already QA archived. That was the one I filled out. And now I'm just good. The way I refresh really is by moving this left to right. and we're gonna just take a minute while it comes up. So here you see now that split study has come up and Sarah ultrasound test is here, and you can see that it came up under the EFAST worksheet. So here I'm going to choose EFAST again. I'm going to fill out my split study and I'm going to sign and submit it. So those are the main things in terms of how you navigate Synchronicity. If you have any questions, you can always reach out to me, or if you're working on a shift, just have me come over, because it's very easy to show in real time. The other thing is that if you are new to the department, sometimes maybe in the middle of the year or anything, you do need to ask us to get access. So just shoot me an email and say, hey, I need access to Synchronicity if you're having any issues accessing it or logging in. And as always, feel free to reach out to us with any questions.